Before sunrise in central Kenya, green beans are packed into refrigerated crates, sealed, labelled, and loaded onto a truck bound for Jomo Kenyatta International Airport for export via air freight, dominantly to Europe. At the same time, a woman boards a very busy local bus, hoisting a heavy sack of leafy greens onto its roof rack. She'll get off where the road is busiest, spread her produce on the ground and sell what she can by the roadside. What she sells, and what she doesn't, she takes home to feed her livestock or to try again tomorrow. Hundreds and thousands of tons of produce is sold in this way as walk-by trade. Same country, same day, but two completely different food systems. Welcome to the Science Behind Your Salad. I'm your host, Jane Craigie, and this podcast is brought to you by BASF. In this episode, I'll explore how Kenya feeds the world and how it feeds itself, and what happens in the space between global export chains and the everyday survival of the nation's 55 million people, who spend around 45% of their household income on food. This story is important because so much of what happens here mirrors wider sub-Saharan Africa, parts of South America, and beyond into Southeast Asia. Agriculture is at the heart of Kenya's economy, with over 70% of food coming from smallholder farmers, farming less than 2 hectares. It is also one of the country's most important sources of foreign exchange, through exports of tea, coffee, fresh produce and flowers. Kenya's balance of payments is strengthened while tying farms directly to growing global markets. Gift Mabea is BASF's East of Africa manager for their agricultural business. Born in Zimbabwe and having spent his career in farming on the wider continent, his insight into Kenya's food system is based on a deep understanding of Kenya's farming and its food supply.
Kenya's got a mixture, 2 systems, I would say. One, which is a domestic market, really driven by smallholder farmers and local traders. And so they produce crops which are locally consumed, vegetables, potatoes, and also they have to worry about high seasonality. It's an informal type of agriculture. And some of it is limited by lack of education, but the farmers are striving to grow their crops and to expand. We also, having produced the products, they also have issues to do with the cold chain. I'm sure you saw traveling around, you see on the roadside farmers selling their carrots or tomatoes or onions. They have to sell them quickly, otherwise they go off. With that group also, we find that the post-harvest losses are high. They also suffer from rainfall issues. If they have no irrigation, they've got limitations of finance and also weak formal traceability.
In 2024, the agricultural sector contributed just over 22% of GDP, supporting millions of Kenyan livelihoods by employing over half of the population.
If we are looking now at the other cropping cycle, which is the large farms, crops like maize, cereals for local consumption. That group has also got a sophisticated group within the large-scale growers growing crops for export markets, be it ornamentals, be it avocados, or be it mashed peas and some vegetables like broccoli. And, they are packed from a field in Kenya and lands up in a supermarket the next day in Sainsbury in the UK.
And Gift, do those 2 markets combine? Do they collide in any way? Or are they completely separate food systems?
They are complete separate in a way because, one, the expertise required in each of them, the size of them, the demands in terms of expertise required, it's totally different. The requirements for the export crops is quite high. And to maintain that standard, you need to be a particular kind of farmer to be in that because you need to meet international standards. So the issues of good agricultural practice is important. Agrochemical stewardship is important. Worker safety, record keeping is important because now you are subjected to audits. grading, hygienic conditions, because these products are coming from the field, packed and off to the supermarket. So hygiene is very important. Cold chains is important, like I said, and traceability. With that also, they have to meet the GAP, Fair Trade, Rainforest Alliance. All those are very important certifications required for them to qualify to be on the international market. While the others, it's for local consumption, it's a local trading, it's within the environment. Those crops are feeding into the larger populations in the cities. But the biggest point is the cold chain infrastructure is very lacking, and as a result, deterioration of the crop is quite high.
Kenya doesn't have one food system, it has two. One is informal, fast-moving, vulnerable to weather and waste. The other is precise, audited, refrigerated and global. They share the same soil, but they operate in completely different worlds. To better understand Kenya, speaking to the farmers themselves gives the most powerful insight into their lives and what they do. And given that 2026 is the UN International Year of the Woman Farmer, it was fitting that the first three farmers I met were female. I spoke to Gloria Guimarães and Jane Camu, who work in cooperation with other women smallholders and sell Kenyan coffee to global markets. Coffee is one of Kenya's oldest export crops. It was introduced to the country by French missionaries in the late 19th century. Today, over 90% of Kenya's Arabica coffee is produced by smallholder farmers like Gloria and Jane. Their cooperative is NORT, the North of the Rift Women in Coffee. They're not just growing coffee, they are redefining who captures value, who is visible and who benefits. They're an inspiring duo who demonstrate the creation of economic opportunity for women farmers, and they're also rewriting what it means to participate in the global food trade.
My name is Gloria Wamalwa Guimarães, and we are here at Sakami. I'm a co-founder of Sakami. We own this farm. It's a family-owned farm. So it's me and my husband and our children. In Sakami, we have 3 crops, which are main crops. We have coffee, intercropped with macadamia, and also we have avocado. The 3 crops work very well together. They tie us throughout the year. The seasons follow each other, and they marry very well. We grow specialty coffee here. What we are exporting is almost 70% of what we are growing. Then the rest of it we sell today. We take it to the auction. And avocado also the same thing. We do almost about 80% of what we are growing here we take for export.
Gloria and I were joined by her fellow NORT director Jane, overlooking Nairobi's National Park and Airport. I asked Gloria how the business had changed over time.
We've been in business for the last 6 years, and we are still growing stronger. When we started doing our production, coffee, all these ladies come from different backgrounds. We have a medic, we have a banker, we have all these people. And I was just like, they were all new in coffee. I come from a beauty industry. So I'm like, okay, how can we do this? Being in a beauty industry, that means I had really interacted with women in different sectors. I've done different films with different women. I know that when they see a potential, they see there's a possibility, women will jump on it without asking questions. They're like, let's work together. And that's how women came together to do this.
And in Africa, why are women farmers and the empowerment of women farmers, why is it so important to Africa?
Our journey in farming or owning land, traditionally, a woman, you don't own land. Land is only owned by men. I come from a big family that had huge chunks of land. I did not inherit a single land. For us to do this, it is coming from that background gives you a space for you to keep fighting to find space for yourself. And when you find space for yourself, the next person you think of is, how can I help the other lady also to be with me? Because from her background or knowing what we are doing, she understands how difficult it is to get access to land. And it's been a long journey, slowly explaining to men that we are not taking your land, we are only using the land. And at first, it was difficult. But then when they started seeing money coming in, then everybody was like, okay, not a bad idea. So then other men are coming to sign up their wives now, secretly. Can you recruit my wife? Oh, I have land. Can you recruit my wife? So it has been a very difficult journey, and I really I'm grateful the 5 ladies we started with, because we have really empowered other women also to come out now and use as an example. Look, the ladies are doing it. They're not taking the title away. They're still only just using the land, and that's it.
In many ways, women sit at the fault line between these two systems. They are the traders by the roadside, the keepers of seed, the managers of household food, but increasingly they are also exporters, cooperative leaders, value chain architects, not replacing one system with another, but stretching a bridge between them. And Jane, tell me more about your partnerships. One of the partners has been so important to you is BASF. What have they done for you?
Wow, BASF has done quite a bit for us. They saw our vision and decided to partner with us. They asked us, how would you want us to partner with you? And we told them, you know what? We as women, you've seen how coming together has transformed us and changed us. We've been able to bring our coffees to the international market, which is something we never dreamt of. Because Kenyan's coffee is usually traded just in 2 ways. Either you go to the auction, which is majority of what happens, or you do direct sales. So when we saw this, we said, then why don't we take the full control of the value chain of coffee? So we told BASF to also want to control what happens in the dry milling. So we asked them, is it possible for you to do as a dry mill for our coffee? So that this community within us, they can all bring the coffees for their parchment for milling. Then from there, we can try and get them access, because we already have direct sales. So we can get them access into the international market. And we can also be able to trade and also just teach them on best practice in terms of how do I get quality coffee? And BASF is offering that kind of training. We thought we needed a training center. So BASF was able to do for us a training center that can hold up to 100 people. Then eventually in the 3rd year, we want to do value addition. And this will create employment for our community. So we are going to acquire a roaster. When we get a roaster, it means now we can do value addition. These women can roast their small packs of coffee and sell within community and even internationally. So this is a journey that BASF has been able to walk with us, and they are willing to walk with us until we realize our dreams.
I asked Gift for his reflections on women's role in African agriculture. Here's what he had to say.
You cannot separate farming in Africa from women. Women are the ones who are in the field. They do more work than men. So women are central to smallholder farming, in food processing, local marketing. There are fewer men selling those fruits and vegetables on the streets as you drive through countryside of Kenya. So they manage the household distribution, they manage the seed issues, the post-harvest handling, and the local trade itself. So their roles is very, very important. So the UN's International Year of the Women, I think it's great celebration to celebrate women who are raising and encouraging the growth of farming and nutrition of their households in Africa. And I think we need to do more for women in agriculture because they are central to what we are doing. I think we also need, one, to increase their capacity in terms of training, finance, and also maybe link them to some markets and take them out of this domestic way of doing farm to greater and participation into areas where they can earn more than they currently do. And I see also women taking strong leadership positions in their local communities, in their cooperatives, in the farmer groups, and strengthening their voice as local women.
Picking up the thread of the domestic Kenyan food market, I spoke to a honey producer, Grace Chezarem. She's part of Lelkolo's Women's Group, a local cooperative of women beekeepers in Baringo County, an area renowned for birdwatching, tourism, and also one with very high poverty rates. Across Africa, enterprises like this are empowering smallholder female farmers who often struggle to access land and credit and are critical to sustainable food production in the region. This successful enterprise has equipped the women to generate additional income for their families for food, education and healthcare, while their pastoralist menfolk leave with the village's livestock in search of better pastures.
As we are Lelgolo Women Group, we come from Baringo and Kisanana Ward in Baringo. So as women group there, we've been assisted by the county government of Baringo. They have given us extension officers so that they can assist the women there. So they gave us beehives. Each person has almost 30-something beehives. It depends on how somebody has liked the project. So there we keep our honey and then we sell them locally. We don't sell them to maybe towns or supermarkets because we have no connections there. So at least these bees, the honey has assisted us as women because it has increased our income. What we didn't have before, we can buy using when we sell this honey.
And what has it meant to all of the women's lives that have started keeping hives?
So when these men, they have realized that even women can do better than us because most of them, they are out there. So as we are here at home just doing house chores, so they have seen that women can do much better than them. So that is why they have allowed us to come and do this work. But now the extension officers have come. They have given us gears that to wear. We have gloves, we have gum boots, we have the nets that we wear so that the bees cannot sting us. So it has been comfortable for us to get the honey from the hives compared to. And then our livelihoods, it has changed from the time we started producing this honey. So if you can sell this honey, we get money to assist our families because as mostly women, we are maybe producers at home. We give the food to our family, so they need us to feed them. So after selling this, we get the money, we buy them what they do not have. So our families now are happy. You can even afford to buy yourself a goat, a sheep from selling the honey. So women have been empowered so much because if you can sell your own things, it is not like borrowing somebody to give you money.
For Kenya's domestic food system, success isn't measured in foreign exchange. It's measured in school fees paid, in goats bought, in meals secured for another week. It may not be audited or air freighted, but it feeds the nation. Telling the story of Kenya's farming would be incomplete without exploring the larger farming businesses geared to supplying the global market. These businesses grow large volumes of high-quality, long shelf-life fresh produce, including vegetables, berries and fresh-cut flowers, to the highest standards of global assurance. To understand this high-volume, just-in-time production, I visited AAA growers Simba Farm, northeast of Nakuru in central Kenya.
Okay, my name is Gabriel Litunya Akali.
And Gabriel, tell me where we are in Kenya.
We are in Nyahururu. Particularly, we are in Laikipia County.
And what's so important about this region?
This region is good because it has good temperatures that allows for outdoor growing, and both outdoor and indoor growing. Yes, the weather is good.
And tell me about the farm.
The farm generally is about 100 hectares of vegetables and 400 hectares of avocados. And we have a section of roses. We grow French beans, we grow carrots, we grow courgettes, we grow baby corn, we grow tender stem broccoli. So those ones we grow them under open field. So we do them throughout the year.
And what are your big challenges as a grower?
Our biggest challenges, majorly, usually we have pests and disease, especially in the hot weather. Pests in the hot weather, diseases in the cool weather. Those are the biggest challenges that we face.
And availability of water? Do you have a lot of water available? How do you store it? Do you irrigate?
Yes, we do irrigation. We have enough water. We don't have a shortage of water currently, but we ensure we do a lot of conservation of water. So we do drip irrigation. We have a section under pivot irrigation.
And do you have to have reservoirs on the farm to store your water?
Oh yes, we do have reservoirs, big reservoirs, just to store water. Both rain-fed, all water on the roofs are collected to the reservoirs.
The environment, the regulatory environment, do you have access to all of the chemistry that you need? Are there any restrictions?
Yeah, there are many restrictions in regards to what we can use, and we must comply with those regulations. They are restricted chemicals. We are regulated by food experts. So we have quite a lot of controls when it comes to use of pesticides and fungicides. There's a lot of regulation around it.
And presumably because you export, compliance with those regulations is really important to access the markets. You will be following a number of assurance protocols. Do you know which ones you use?
We do Global Gap. We do organic certifications. Majorly for vegetables, we do Global Gap audits because that is the main that touches vegetables.
And what do you do on the farm to encourage biodiversity?
We have programs like vermicomposting, which we do a lot through the week. We have composting itself, which we do a lot. We sometimes do introduction of biologicals in the farm to the crop. So all those, I believe, they encourage biodiversity. We have agroforestry activities. You can see trees planted around. Yeah. We have forests, big forests within the farm, which we encourage because of biodiversity. We have animals within the farm. Wild animals are around.
You're looking very proud.
Yes. Yes.
I then headed to the flower polytunnels to find out more about AAA Growers' flower enterprise from agronomist Jay Prakash.
I'm an agronomist. We're working with cut flowers, especially with the roses. If we see, the roses is the biggest industry in Kenya, which brings around 20% of the Kenyan revenue to the country. This industry is really supporting to the Kenyan peoples, where almost 5 million of them are getting jobs directly or indirectly from floriculture industry. Floriculture industry in Kenya is flourishing and really supporting to country economy. Kenya has a very nice climate and it is one of the advantage for farming. The major reason is Kenya is on equator. So for Kenya, it is like we have almost 12 hours a day and 12 hours night. It also supported with very nice climate, good rains. Because we are growing on a high altitude, the altitude gives very nice quality flowers, especially the big head size with hybrid tea flowers and very nice spray roses.
This is agriculture at industrial precision, climate managed, audited, temperature controlled from soil to supermarket shelf, every stem accounted for, every shipment tracked, a system built for the expectations of distant consumers. If you hadn't realised already, flowers are big business in Kenya, with over 175,000 tonnes exported annually, equating to around 480 tonnes of cut flowers every single day. Understanding the flower sector helped me to appreciate Kenya's markets, its demands, and the high standards that Kenyan producers achieve to ensure freshness, product quality, and the nation's supply chain, which is rightfully regarded as one of the best in the world.
Generally, we export to over 100 countries across the globe, and that tells you that we have a presence everywhere. My name is Clement Ulezi. I'm the CEO of Kenya Flower Council. Kenya Flower Council is the umbrella organization for growers, exporters, and service providers in the floriculture subsector in Kenya. We support the growers, exporters in linking up with the international market, but also locally we do a lot of advocacy, linking up with government and all the service providers who support the industry so that we remain very, very strong as an industry within Kenya, but also in our international markets. We are able to remain a formidable player in the key markets and exploring also new and emerging markets. We are also a custodian of a certification scheme that we have been running since 1996 when we were formed. And this certification scheme actually helps the growers exporters to access the market because there are certain demands that are there in the market for the kind of quality of our produce and the ethical requirements that are there. So we ensure that we audit and certify everyone who exports to the international market, meeting all these requirements of the market.
Clement, how has the sector grown?
We are about 35, 40 years old. And within this time, this period, we have made a lot of progress. We started off this industry probably with less than 5 players. Today, in terms of growers, We have more than 200 growers, most of them medium and large. But now we have another segment that is just coming in, which are the smallholders that we are supporting as Kenya Flower Council to be able to grow. Most of them, as opposed to the initial investors who probably were much more foreign, now are Kenyans who are actually investing in this.
What changes have you seen?
We have seen a big growth in the last 10 to 20 years. 10 years ago, we were just about 3,200 hectares. Today, we are close to about 5,000 hectares. That tells you that we have really grown. When I came into the industry about 8 years ago, in terms of foreign exchange, we were just getting in about 80 billion Kenya shillings. Today, we are over 110 billion Kenya shillings, and that tells you that we have really grown. We employ now about 200,000 people. 10 years ago, it was just about 100,000. So we have doubled up that number. And that tells you the trajectory where we are. As an industry, we are number 2 export commodity from Kenya into the international market. We are ranked among the top 3 producers of cut flowers ornamentals in the world, and probably among the 4 top exporters. And this gives us a way in which we think if there are certain things we can do both here and in the marketplace, actually promoting this, we have the ability to double up the size of this industry, employ more people than ever before.
These aren't just statistics. They are livelihoods, transport routes, tax revenues. In Kenya, horticulture is more than produce, it's economic infrastructure. Where are your main markets?
Our biggest market is Europe. Europe accounts to about 70% of everything that we produce and export. The next important market will be the UK, which is about 19%, and now the Arab world, the great Gulf region from Dubai to Saudi Arabia and the rest. Western Europe, the Russian and Kazakhstan and other states within that region. Those who would say would be the most important market for us. But over the years, we have also seen a bit of movement now in places like Japan, Malaysia, a bit of China. They have also a bit of interest. It's an interesting market that we're exploring, but there is interest from there. Australia, for many years, we have remained very, very stable in Australia. So it's about diversifying away from Europe. We are not saying that we are moving away from Europe, but basically we want to maintain Europe, but diversify into new markets. Because if we rely on one market, there is always a saturation that may come in. But secondly, as the industry expands, we must find another place where all these new volumes that we are growing will go. And therefore, it's necessary that we continue exploring a new market. Europe, specifically 40% of all the flowers in Europe are actually from Kenya.
For the wider sector, what challenges do you encounter on an annual basis? What do you see as challenges for the future, and how are you going to deal with them?
We see challenges at 2 levels. We have challenges that are much more at a local level, and we have those that are related to the marketplace. At the local level, the biggest challenge we have is what we call the ease of doing business. Our industry is highly taxed. We pay up to 55 taxes and levies between what we call the national government and county government. That is quite immense, especially for a startup. Most of the companies that are coming in and are really small, they will really struggle to meet this requirement from government. Getting credit then becomes the alternative. The banks, the commercial banks, sometimes look at us as really high risk because of the product that we grow, in terms of shelf life is really, really short. And they think, this is very risky. So it's not easy for them to give us credit. So unless we find someone who will come in and de-risk us, it becomes very difficult for the startups to access finance, which is really important for them to inject into the business and be able to grow. So doing business is one. Secondly is on logistics. Most of the time we realize that as we have the peaks, the Valentine's, the Mother's Day and the rest, we don't have enough capacity to carry all our flowers and vegetables. Sometimes the cost is quite prohibitive. It can double most of the time during those peaks. And that is a really, really big challenge for us. But we're also seeing another challenge is the regulation. They're ever changing. Today, the European Union says, we have this regulation. 2 years down the line, it has changed. And for us, then it's about compliance. And it's not easy because there is a way in which we are used to doing things. So complying in a very short notice, sometimes it doesn't work for us very well. Sometimes requires a lot of investment. So the changing regulation in the marketplace and the requirements and to that effect affect us really in a big way.
Back to AAA growers. the scale and reach of their business and its impact on local people's lives was explained by Isaiah Abel, who is responsible for the company's airport logistics.
We have increased the farms. The produce that are coming now, they are in huge quantity. I receive them here at the airport. I ensure the clearance has been done. The shipments has come, the correct quantity and quality that is supposed to fly. They have to check the quality of the produce here at the airport, at the exit, before it departs. A day we can handle for veg and flowers. Let's say for veg we can handle like 20 tons. And for flowers we can go to 30 tons. Once the produce are done or are ready at the farm level, they have to use the trucks that are refrigerated. So that the trucks comes to the airport and the temperature is controlled, or these are fresh produce. So once they get at the airport, they have to be offloaded, kept in the cold room, and palletizing or putting into the equipment that will be loaded into the flights will be done there from the cold room. The produce are not exposed to where they are ambient. They are not kept at the ambient. They are kept in the cold room. So cold chain is actually monitored.
And talk me through the produce that comes through and how does it change through the year?
That one, we have vegetables whereby the season peaks at, when September starts, the season peaks. It goes till July. That's the season for vegetables. But on our side of flowers, we have not experienced that low season of flowers because we have them throughout. We keep on shipping. You see, this industry actually helps a lot in the country. You will find so many people are employed in this industry. So the more we increase the farms, the more the industry increases, you will find the more people are being employed. So actually it's really helping people and is really doing a good job. Even the management for these fresh produce companies, they are doing a very great job for employing people and doing whatever they see to make sure these people get fed. They get something on the table at the end of the day.
But this success comes with a question. Much of Kenya's fresh produce travels thousands of miles by air. In a world increasingly conscious of carbon, can air-freighted freshness remain sustainable? Kenya is already exploring sea freight, investing in efficiency, tightening its cold chains. The challenge is clear: how to remain globally competitive while becoming more globally responsible. One thing that was clear from my time in Kenya is just how productive this country is, and that women are front and centre of the agricultural industry. It was also clear that success of the nation's 2 food systems gives hope and opportunity to its people. As the African sun sets over Kenya, the ladies selling by the roadside pack away their unsold green veg, ready to try again tomorrow. At night time, above their slumbering heads, cargo planes climb into the dark. If you're interested in finding out more about the UN International Year of the Woman Farmer, keep an eye on BASF Agricultural Solutions social media channels. And if you've enjoyed this podcast of The Science Behind Your Salad, please share it with your friends and family and hit subscribe for future episodes. I'm your host, Jane Craigie, and this is a BASF podcast produced by Andrew Williamson from my production team. In our next episode, we will be heading to Portugal to meet some fascinating farmers, land managers, and Pedro Samora, one of the most engaging chefs I've ever met. Until next time, keep well and thank you.